Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I hope this microphone is working. Is it working? So welcome, a warm welcome to this EPC Talks Geopolitics. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Oleksandr Korniyenko, who is first deputy chairman of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, the Ukrainian parliament. He's also a member of the Servant of the People Party, which he was previously head of. He is a member of Ukraine's delegation in negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU, and also co-chair of the Ukraine-NATO Interparliamentary Council. Previously, he was also actively engaged in Ukraine's association agreement negotiation and implementation. So you have a real big history of working on EU affairs. We're really pleased to have you with us today, sir. We look forward to having a wide-ranging discussion with you on these issues, as well as others, including the situation on the battlefield, which is always good to know, Western military support, President Zelensky's victory plan, which he recently presented to President Biden, and of course, the upcoming Ramstein meeting, which is going to be a crucial meeting in this series for Ukraine. But perhaps we can start with me asking you what's the main purpose of your visit to Brussels?
Good day, everyone. Thank you for this presentation. Of course, it's all true, but last time I start to work more close with EU agenda because I'm become member of negotiation team from on behalf of Parliament, because I'm only one from Parliament in this team, and I'm here in this occasion. I'm here not only like first deputy chairman of parliament. I'm all-time first deputy chairman of parliament, but exactly on this week I'm here like a member of negotiation team, because we have screening next 3 very important session of screening our legislation from EU side. It's economic criteria, public financial criteria, and roadmaps about functioning democratic institution and the functioning of public administration and the public governance sector in Ukraine. It's all very important stages on accession process. One of the Copenhagen criteria directly about capacity of country to make accession. And of course, it's all time about capacity of public governance system of this country. That's why it's very important, thing. On the other hand, if we talk about fundamental, it's also all time very important cluster, very important chapters, because it's about if Ukraine is democracy, if Ukraine is full working democracy, if we are already prepared to be a member of family. All in all, we can discuss about anything in this regards, and about battlefield and about our more urgently situations, and with SWIP and with supplies and with someone else. In general, I can only say that yes, we very want to make this autumn last autumn in this war, because what will be the next winter, we don't know. It can be very crucial for us, because of lack of electricity supply, and because of lack of heat supply in some big cities like Kharkiv, because of lack of security near borders, because of using Russia Federation dozens, hundred guided avia bombs every day and thousands every month, and of course because some possible slow-moving supplies from partners, from allies, in terms of ammunition and someone else, that we felt last winter, when, if you can remember, when we had discussion inside US like the biggest partner about next package and support of it. That's why our chief and commander and President Zelensky proposed to allies to shift strategy to be more active, to be more proactive and support Ukraine and give to Ukraine army what they we want, give permission to use to use missiles to attack some military objects on the Russian side, close to border, more than 300 objects. I can maybe say something more, but you understand what is talking about. And of course, it's also about continuously financial support of Ukraine in terms of support our budget to next year. For all last years, more than 100 billion euros was spent only to social, infrastructure in Ukraine, its pensions, salary to teachers, salary to statements, and some little part of development, economy, and business. But we promoted very huge effect from that, because a small amount of money allocated to, for example, support small and medium enterprises increased our GDP from 1 to 2% for last years, every year, only with support about 50 billions hryvnia for last 2 years. It's something close to 1 billion euro. But with this supporting by partners, we have some growing up of our economy and military time. It's very important for our people, because they feel that not so bad, and they stay in country, and they stay in safety part of country, but not only in safety. In Kharkiv already we haven't such immigration how we observed from the first day of the war. Now people stay in Kharkiv despite of guided bombs, despite of everyday ballistic missiles attack. They want to live in their own city and work in their own business enterprises and someone else.
Thank you very much. I would just have a follow-up question. I mean, I was in Ukraine a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of military guys told me that the country is currently in a situation that can be compared to February, March 2022 in terms of the seriousness and in terms of which direction Ukraine could go in, depending on whether or not they receive the relevant military assistance from the Western partners. I mean, you're here, you're in Europe. I mean, what's your sense in terms of why there seems to be this reluctance at this point, this crucial point, to actually give Ukraine what it needs and very quickly? I mean, do you sense this reluctance? Do you sense a sort of war fatigue here in Europe? And what would be your messaging here? I mean, what needs to be done to make politicians really understand the seriousness of the situation on the battlefield and how it will impact European countries and far beyond if Ukraine doesn't get over this current plateau and push the Russians back?
I think that maybe it will be helpful to figure out more wide picture about some future of the Western world. If Western country will choose to keep, this strategy to make Russia fatigue, because the strategy to make Russia fatigue drop by drop and little steps, it in result become Ukrainians more fatigue. Population of Western country becomes more fatigue, but not Russia. Russia grows, and GDP grows. They have many ways to avoid sanctions, and all in all news about BRICS summit become more optimistic. More and more countries want to join. Not so Western unity, as we know, as we understand. That's why I think it's time to some existential choose for Western world. because next time Russia can be on the border of NATO if Ukraine will not overcome. And it will be very, very, different discussion in this auditorium. Will be discussion about how is it a working system of alerts in Baltic country, for example, of air alerts. Does Poland has enough trenches and differ using of fortifications and someone else and someone on. That's why we are in Ukraine. We have only one sense. We all fatigue, of course. We are people. We are live. We are, live our lives in time of others. Today, for example, it was one of the missiles shooting to Kiev and air defense by support of Western allies. We're very thankful for that. Shooting down these missiles. Part of this missile, Kinjal, was shooting down to some streets, to some, living house, some fires. In this time, in one time, for example, my daughter going to school and start her lessons from shelter, and after finish attack, they continuously get lesson from class, and it's like everyday reality. But we think that in Kiev, that for Kiev, it's very good, condition, and we feel safety more times than people in Kharkiv and someone else. Did we fatigue all these previous, 2 years? Of course. Are we do we fatigue right now? Of course. But it's more, important to keep unity inside country, to keep unity with allies, to keep unity inside army, inside between army and society, to make this, answers to this fatigue. Because all time, if you talk about, for example, everyday life, all of us and soldiers, our brothers and sisters on battlefield, and all of Ukrainians have some on battlefield. It's not something, some legend. My cousin right now, Dimine or mine, I don't know what he do near Sumy. Where is it? It's some to north and maybe north than the Ukrainian border. But he do something, and it's everyday reality of all our families of Ukraine. You can ask all of Ukrainians. We all help our soldiers. We all text with them, phone with them, and keep connection with them, and buy something for them by volunteering, gathering, because sometimes you need something more than state can promote. But it for our soldiers, for example, when I go into battlefield and discuss with soldiers, I sometimes like topman, I need to know what people said on battlefield. It's very important, not to only through media, but directly. And I collaborate with some brigade, and all time we have connection. And sometime when we discuss with soldiers about such, political meetings, or some traveling to Brussels or to some other cities, they ask me why people in Europe fatigue. We understand why we fatigue in trenches. It's very fatigue work, But why people in Germany or French fatigue about our war? It's only about, some costs to willing, or what is it? Or some costs to supplies, to what, about what it? Or it's some, results about Russian propaganda that go on through media. And it's, point to open more existential discussion about democracy in general. The democracy is a very fragile system, but it's our own system. We don't have to have any other, because we all understand that we only can live in democracy in the Western world. Because another way, our values will be violated by some dictatorship, by some authoritarian regime, etc. But we need to build some, walls to this fragility. and to give some answer to this new. I don't want to discuss very ambitious word like Axis Evil or someone else, but okay, new club of non-democracy countries. Let's talk about them in such way. That's why I think maybe we should pivot to some more counter-propaganda projects, some projects against Russia, influence in media area. If it's something needed from Ukrainian side, we can share our evidence. It's very wide, on battlefield, not on battlefield, on social media, and someone else. All in all, Ukrainian kept unity for this day. All in all. We have some percent of people who, for example, doesn't support EU integration. We have some person who doesn't support NATO integration, but it's very small. It's up to 15% if we talk about EU integration, up to 10% if we talk about NATO. 90% of Ukraine wants to NATO. It's more than in any NATO country, I think. But, our recipe very simple. We have one idea, and we have this idea to keep our country, to keep our sovereignty, to keep our dignity, to keep our life, to keep our land, keep our children.
Indeed, Ukraine remains very united, and the level of resilience across society is very admirable. I met a guy who just came back from the front after 2 years. I mean, 2 years on the front is a very long time. I mean, he looked like he was in good shape, but I mean, being on the front for 2 years has a significant impact on somebody, particularly when you don't have all the necessary tools to actually use. But there's an important meeting coming up of Ramstein shortly. What are your expectations from this gathering?
It's maybe 40, or I don't remember what the number of this meeting, maybe 40. We had enough these Ramstein meetings for last years. Only on several of them was President Zelensky in personal. I think it's news and some, signs that its meeting will be very important and very crucial important for us, of course. It's time to share with Elias victory plan. Second after United States as main allies. And of course, it's time to, maybe receive some optimistical words from allies from NATO side about the future of Ukraine in NATO. We all know about open door policy, but as we have joke in Ukrainian, we should to maybe to go through this open door, because this open door policy for last decades for Ukraine didn't get something in practical sense about NATO accession. Of course, we know that it's political decision, but all political decisions should to stay on some strength fundament of some analytics, some figures, some propositionals, and we know that our president with our brilliant team work on that. And yesterday, in every day, our president every day makes some speech to people through TV or through digital media. And in yesterday's speech, he sent to our information that our head of military headquarters, Bargilevich, and our vice prime minister of EU integration and NATO integration, Stefanishina, already in DC to give some additional information to partners, to US allies, and before Ramstein to make position closer. We work on that to make this Ramstein some with some optimistic news for Ukraine.
The new Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte.
His first visit was in Kiev.
In Kiev. What sort of positive messaging did he give to Ukraine?
His rhetoric was so. I don't want to compare with Stoltenberg, because I'm with full respect to both of them, but I think some rhetoric make more more proactive about joining Ukrainian from the side of of NATO bureaucrats, because Ruto is he's head of NATO bureaucracy. He's not politician, but he position of headquarter in 10 minutes from this place, all time. It's very, it involves the position of politicians sometimes because of some analysis, if Ukraine are prepared, not prepared, what is the stage of preparing, etc., etc. What's the stage of interoperability, for example? Because if you talk about practical things, Ukraine army very very close to NATO standards in some terms on battlefields, first of all. But if you talk about some necessary of interoperability in some more bureaucratic process, we need to adopt some legislation. We need to adopt some papers inside army, inside headquarters. But of course, in time of war, it's very hard, because you need, to rule these troops now and here, not about something in future. But in terms of innovations, in terms of some, new way how war going on, of course, Ukrainian army is the most competent in the world, I think, because we have evidence that haven't any army of the world, any army of the NATO right now, about using of drones, any kinds, from air to ground and to sea drones, and any system of without people, and of using some new standards of usual weapon, artillery, and someone else, and cyber war, for example, that Ukrainian very competitive in that.
This is true, because I had the opportunity to meet the guys who work on drones and who are very innovative in developing new drones. I mean, they're able to do this actually in weeks.
Weeks and days.
From the plan to the battlefield.
So sometimes we can we should do it, because Russia is not something that armies that fight with sticks. It's also modern army. It's also very fast army with very fast reaction. That's why all time it's a fight between engineers, first of all, and after that between soldiers, between combats and some colonels, and etc. But first of all between engineers, because we analyze all time, of course, what Russia do on battlefield. This small piece of battlefield, it's more practical than build some strategy like NATO do. Of course, NATO is the big defense alliance. It should to plan something, to give some strategic answers, but here and now, of course, we have this competitiveness.
Drones aren't the only thing that Ukraine produces, because now Ukraine is producing many different types of weapons. I was given a book like this thick, actually outlining, how important is it for Ukraine to have intensified defense cooperation with European or American industry to work together, but also to bring investment from Europe into Ukraine's defense industry. Is this?
Of course, it's crucial important for us. Of course, it's main topic about next decades of in relationship between now and allies. We are very proud of new defense agenda in the EU, and about promoting new commissioner in terms of defense, in terms of space, and what we heard about personnel of this, to this position, it's also very optimistic for Ukraine, because it's a big friend for Ukraine. Of course, we need not only investment, it's understandable. Also, we need, collaboration in strategical management in this area, in promotion this, in marketing, and different, collaboration in all fields of production. Why? Because our military defense sector right now, military tech sector, it's like, more garage history. It's not not so sustainable like it can be in Europe, like it can be in the United States. We have some big industries, we have some big factories, but all in all, if we talk about drone, for example, it's impossible to make some stable industry production, because now it's field of experiments, it's fields of some finding solutions. That's why sometimes in the future it will be like, Ukraine can be experimental base for that. Of course, we need Western vision, we need Western money, but we need also Western guarantees to promotion these products through allies to NATO army and to other Western armies, because on other way, on other hand, it will be in some other armies. I don't want to say something bad about Ukrainian producers, but I know any businessman should to find when he can sell something, yeah, and it's it's one of the things. On other hand, of course, Ukraine feel lack of labor forces next time, and now structure of labor market. We don't have enough engineers. It's true. We need to be honest, but Western country has, and it's Western countries have, and it can be very interesting win-win strategy, because we can scale something with using brains from here, but with using brains from Ukraine and evidence from Ukraine. Our brains with evidence, but here engineering brains with vision and with brilliant Western education that can help to build it, to promote it. I think Europe, particularly Central and Eastern Europe, European countries should to build some military cluster here. Because let me be honest, Russia will not dissolve in some minute, on some years, on some moment in the future, and this threat for Western flank will be all time in future, dozens of years. That's why we need to make here to give answer. Of course, Poland already make it, but we can use our evidence and our new sectors that grows very fast to change our situation, to unite efforts to change the situation.
I'm going to ask you one last question, then I'll open the floor to questions. So guys, get ready, because you mentioned about Mr. Kubilius.
I hadn't mentioned him personally, but you did.
I agree, he's a great guy, for sure, and a very long-term friend of Ukraine. But we're entering this new, institutional cycle. What are your expectations? What do you want to see as the priorities from this new cycle, which will shortly begin? I mean, Mr. Kubilius, there's also very important other dossiers for Ukraine, the enlargement dossier, also the justice and new McGrath, because the issue of war crimes, crimes against aggression, and kidnapped children are also crucial things. So what's your expectations for the new institutional cycle?
My first expectation is that Andres will make first visit to Kiev, of course, and we wait for him very much. And as all previous dozens time when he come to Kiev like head of U4U group, the biggest inter-world group of parliamentaries. One meeting was with more than 50 parliamentaries from all over the world. and we hadn't, you know, good room for host all of them on one table. We haven't this in Rada, but of course, it issue of increasing military defense collaboration, military tech collaboration between our sector and companies from, you know, the EU. But on the other hand, if you talk about some more wide agenda about war crimes and the issue of returning deported children and someone else, maybe we need to open this discussion much more wide in EU, because now it going through Council of Europe much more, and like, you know, benchmark organization in the human rights, but inside some member countries, this discussion not so, you know, wide open, like on the level of Council of Europe. I think more deep including commissioner. No, and we hope not for Kubilis about it. We hope also about Kaja Kallas about it, for example, because position of high, you know, representative, it's very important position. But we know attitude, Kaja personally, and I know her personally also about her attitude of this. Issues from our agenda. It's not so, you know, simple issue to discuss in some countries, like even like military issue, even like economical issue, even like issue of enlargement. But let's start about issue of returning deported people, and particularly children from Russia, and you will receive, you know, very sophisticated discussion in some country members, and it's understandable because, you know, it's hard issue for very sensible and sensitive. But with support of our friends inside and outside institutions, I think it will be more simple to start this discussion.
Great, thank you so much. Now I want to open the floor to questions. If you can identify yourself with your name and affiliation, and my colleague Romil will bring around the microphone. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dmytro Shkurko, National News Agency of Ukraine. Recently, it was quite an active rhetoric in Kiev around the second peace summit, which should be held with the participation of Russia. My question is, was the Ukrainian parliament somehow involved in the preparation of this summit? And what is the practical sense to hold that kind of meeting if we take into consideration the position of Russia, which is not accepting nothing but the capitulation from the side of Ukraine? And the second part of the question, let me ask you straight. Some of not only global South countries, but also some of our Western allies, insisting that the conflict should be, or war should be frozen on the current front line, and even insist that that could be some kind of compromise in Ukraine membership in NATO and EU, if not refusal, let me say delay of these events. I just want to ask you straight, what could be reaction of the Ukrainian parliament and Ukrainian society on such kind of proposals?
If you talk about peace formulas, President Zelensky, our parliament taking part in that. We're responsible for point 5 formula about restoring of international order. In regards of this UN chapter and someone else very important papers. Of course, it's, you know, one of the most slowly part of this, you know, peace formula Zelensky process, because reforming of UN and other international organizations, it's very, you know, not fast process, and it needs time, and etc. But it's very native for Parliament to work on this issue about some rules in the world. If you talk about necessary of second summit and all this process, I think every step is important. Every step is necessary on right time, and we will know that it will be on right time. If we talk about reaction from society and reaction from inside Parliament to such initiative, we can observe, our social media or our public reaction on that from majority and from opposition fractions. Most of us, of course, supported only our position from peace formula Zelensky about withdrawing Russian troops on the border of 1991. If it will be need something, to vote in Parliament about something compromises, I don't know who will be personally responsible for that. It will be very, very hard job. And I tell it not like, head of Parliament. I tell it like usually MP, because I'm also MP. I don't agree to vote something about something about geographical changing in constitution, for example, because it's even impossible by procedure, because we can change constitution in our time, but any borders can change it only in constitution. It's one of the restrictions that our founders put it to keep country. To keep country to these borders, and you know that from the start of occupation annexion Crimea, and we hadn't any minute in history for last 10 years when someone from government or someone from opposition start to violate constitution in terms of borders of Crimea, status of Crimea, and someone else. It's our land, and we will not even recognize some territorial compromises on our side. That's why it's very all this materials in Western magazines. I don't know if we can like Topmans build our political activity based on some journalistic materials. Maybe it's more close to analytics, to experts, to change mentions. But I think more important to keep straight line with our general position about keeping peace formula and keeping our way and peace victory plan of Zelensky. And why I only have all time more philosophical question, why we don't observe amount of materials about necessary to Ukraine's long missiles to attack. Why we every day only read about frozen online, but why we don't read about Taurus, Atakams, and someone else, and someone one? What the roots of such, mood in Western, press.
Thank you. There was a question from.
Thank you so much. Sasha Vakulina, Euronews Television. Thank you very much for getting the question. Thank you for the session. I wanted to ask, actually following up on the question of my colleagues regarding the issue of the frozen, but I want to focus with the upcoming Ramstein meeting. What would you see as the realistic and yet ambitious plan that Ukraine would want to push for regarding the NATO security guarantees for Kyiv, the way they are seen in Kyiv, the way they are seen by the authorities, and really important, as you said now, the way they are then perceived by Ukrainian society? What would that be, given that NATO indeed, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, has been saying about the open door policy, and yet, what are you pushing for Ramstein meeting? Thank you.
We all time continuously push it only full membership. It's for us any form of collaboration with NATO is very something that will be very hard to promote through society, and we understand that it's it's very political decision. We need political decision of big countries for that. But in terms of strategy of de-escalation and so on, keep calm with Russia. But we don't think in our society that we can, receive some extra escalation that we already have, because we already, have any forms of escalation despite of nuclear weapon, any other form we have. That's why, full membership in NATO. We expect some signals on this, maybe Rammstein also about it, because maybe something gonna change from previous meeting in Washington. The meeting was very important for keep our unity with NATO and for understanding that Ukraine can be in NATO and will be in NATO, but we need some condition. And after that, start discussion what the condition can be. Some countries said it's a condition of finishing war. Some country, like Central Europe countries, said it will never go on. Okay, we will wait, but we need to discuss about it. We need some position of partners. But
do we have another question? Yes, we have a lot of questions.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for such a brilliant exchange. My name is Anastasia. I'm a trainee in the European Parliament. And I've got a question on the differentiation between partners and allies, because you kindly mentioned that some top Ukrainian officials are traveling to the US pretty soon, and they're going to talk to our allies. However, as a Ukrainian sort of professional now, I'm always being confronted with this differentiation between partners and allies. And I always get this pushback when I call like the US or the EU as our allies, and people just get like completely caught off guard and they react like in a way, oh, but we're not allies. We are friends, right? But we're not like that much of friends. So how do you recommend maybe address this issue? Like, is there any like maybe tip that you're using like in terms of advocacy for the Ukrainian interests, especially when it comes like to this disjuncture between the partners and allies and all the strengths that come with that? Thank you.
I think it depends to some, personal position of people. So for someone will be more simpler to recognize Ukraine like allies, but for someone will not. Only partners, maybe not partners, maybe some, outside country. It's very depend of situation. I think for us, it's very understandable that we also, of course, we fight for our lives, we fight for our lands, but we fight for, for Western country also. That's why we are allies with them. For us, it's simple dilemma. But of course, in European countries' society, it's normal. It's democracy. With full respect, we recognize it, that in different country, different different level of discussion about support Ukraine, about not support Ukraine, not support, not, little in favor, little biggest in favor, etc. And of course, it's part of more wide discussion about current political situation here on continent and outside United States. But we do all our best to keep this level of support and connection with all countries who support us, in more than 100 countries. And if we talk about stage of supporting, of course we have close allies who give to us a weapon, who give to us money, but also we have country from non-Western world. It's called formerly Global South, but I don't want to use this. It's not tolerance. We use non-Western world. Some countries vote in favor for our resolution in UN from the start of Crimea occupation for last 10 years. And some small countries, but with strong position, Timor-Leste, for example. What is the kind? It's very far from here, but it's a country with very pro-Western position in that region, Southeastern Asia. It's not to be very simple for them. We have some partners and country with friend in Africa continent, for example. It's not simple for them to keep this position all the time. Zambia, Malawi, for example, some countries from Commonwealth. But on the other hand, of course, we need, to make our every step more transparent, more, visible. What we do right now, for example, communicate with you, with your societies through you.
I think an ally is a country that would always have your back. For example, when Israel was recently seriously targeted overnight with missiles, the Americans and other allies shot them down. This is what I would like, and you would even like it even more, to see happening vis-a-vis Ukraine, the Poland and other countries taking down the missiles on the border. This is what a real ally does, and there's a difference between partner and ally. And some of the military guys I spoke to in Kiev told me Ukraine doesn't have any allies. We just have partners for the moment. We hope to transform them into allies. I saw there was another couple of questions at the back. If you have a few more minutes.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Chairman. Yes, thank you very much for your very insightful,
You just tell us who you are, sir, please. Give us your name.
Yes, my name is Rada. So I'm working both here in Brussels, but also in Central Asia. I'm an academician. And so my question is about, for example, the future of Ukraine, the European future of Ukraine is for sure. It would benefit both Europe and also Ukraine, but also with wider, geopolitical, implications. So what I just would like to hear about your thoughts about the future Ukraine. How would it perceive to support the EU Central Asia relationship in order to both benefit EU's competitiveness, Ukraine's competitiveness, and Central Asia's sustainable development?
You know that we have strong connections in past with Central Asia countries. It's, when we talk on one language and we can to collaborate. I think it's also important to estimate what in terms of distance, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of some fast-growing spheres from different countries. For example, if you talk about Uzbekistan, they have a very ambitious Cooper cluster, for example. Let me be honest, we in Ukraine haven't. But we also needed Cooper to our development, for example. But also these issues that will be all time popular in EU countries because it's very important industrial product. Ukraine can be, at least transport hub to, connect with Central Asia through Turkey, through Azerbaijan, through these corridors that already or was building or in building right now or will build. Of course, if we talk about some future without Russia and without Russia infrastructure, we need to find some, alternative way to, transport some supplies and way to supply, to build new supply chains, without using Russia territory, because for our perception, it will be very, very very hard in future to keep a connection for Western world with Russia, because this, all that was already done for last 2 years, it's very hard to connect with Western values, and all in all, it will be from the values problem to economical, impossible to collaboration. But if you talk about Central Asia countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and else colleagues, I think it's normal to collaborate.
Thank you very much. There was a question.
Here.
Questions. Yeah, you're okay to keep taking them.
I hear.
Good, perfect.
Thank you so much. Efe Tanrıverdi from TÜSİAD, Brussels Representation Office. My question is that the Prime Minister of Slovakia lastly announced that he will support the EU membership for Ukraine, but he will block the membership of Ukraine to NATO for his term. Do you have any preoccupations that such arbitrary decisions can hurt the EU and NATO integration of Ukraine? Like
we have, for example, of Sweden that joined not in one moment by the bilateral problem with Turkey, but they solved it. And it's one of the examples that it's nothing impossible when you want to do something. If you talk about EU integration, we think it will be, it's not will be simple exercise, because all time when someone accessed, neighbors start to to build some restriction and to deal some with neighboring country. It's normal process. We have 5, 5 or 6 neighbors who are already in EU, and Moldova, which we going together to accession. That's why we will do this whole negotiation. We will find all these interests of all our neighbors. If you talk about, for example, our negotiation with Hungary, it become much more, optimistic for last 2 years. But I'm personally supported the legislative process to, make more wide rights to national minorities in Ukraine, but we adopted it for 5th times. 5th times we voted something to make this more wide. And, it's process, step by step, but we need to do it if we talk about accession to big family with some, traditional principles, but with values, but with a care. And we will do all of that because, we in Ukraine very focused on merit-based approach. We don't expect some, special attitude like for poor sister on country in war and someone else. Of course, we already received this attitude by Ukraine facilities, by supporting our 5 million people here in EU countries, etc. So by weapon from EU, etc., etc. We already take it. That's why for us, accession is normal process. We want to access like any country access it. Of course, if we will meet with some restriction from neighboring of non-neighboring country, it will be okay. We will deal with it. We will find what they want from us, what we can give. Of course, we understand our internal problems right now with structure of economy, with our the biggest agriculture, 68% of export, and we need to do something with our agriculture export to understand it inside country. We need to build precision and to food, but not only to food, maybe to energy, and it will be some of the good, win-win strategy for EU and Ukraine, because we have tanks, we have enough agriculture raw, and we can proceed our road to biogas, to biomethane, and that's after that export it to EU and to save part of it in Ukraine to keep prices. And it's very good strategy for Green Deal, for this one from the 3Ds that EU will have next 5 years: decentralization, decarbonization, and defense. Also, we discussed about defense. I can tell only 2 words about digitalization. In Ukraine, we have the glorious level of this process. We have passport in smartphone. We have marriages in smartphone, and I know that for you it all sounds like fantastic, but we can share it with you, and we can share with you also our approach to building fast growing startup economy, because one of the problem of EU economy is low level of digitalization of economy. But we know from the evidence from United States that only with high level of digitalization you can receive high level of financial market, for example, investigation, etc., etc. But if you start to talk about EU unicorns, it will be on two hands, but 1 or 2 of them will be from Ukraine, like Grammarly, for example. That's why we can be very useful in these terms also.
Thank you. I think we had a couple more questions. Well, you already had a question, sir, so I need to give the floor to some of us. I give my colleague Svetlana, and then there's a gentleman at the back because we want to finish around by 3 o'clock, because I think you have to go to the next meeting. So let's take both of them at the same time. Svetlana.
Hello, thank you very much for the very interesting speech. I'm Selena Bagoumian. I'm a research assistant intern at the Center for China-Europe Studies. And I'm also a Belgian from Armenian origin. So I have two questions, one about China and one about Armenia, Ukraine. The first question is about China. So China has an indirect or direct role based on which expert you will listen to about the war between Ukraine and Russia. And I would like to hear your thoughts about it and what role maybe China is playing in it and how it is felt on the Ukrainian field. My second question is about the Ukrainian-Armenian relations. Armenia is a small democracy in the South Caucasus, and it has very long history with Russia. And the relations are becoming more and more strained following the Karabakh war and the non-assistance of Russia, despite having their military alliance. And now that Armenia and Russia are drifting apart, and Armenia still keeps its neutral position in the war, I was wondering if, following the developments that the First Lady of Armenia brought some humanitarian help to Ukraine, and also that Prime Minister Pashinyan met with President Zelensky a few months ago, I would like to hear your thoughts about how the relation maybe is evolving and if it's becoming closer. Thank you very much.
Maybe I can just take the second question.
Okay. Let's collect and
let's collect it. I think the one on China is for a conference by itself.
My name is Svetlana Taran. I'm a research fellow here at EPC, and my question will be, I would like first of all to say that it's very great to have leadership of Ukrainian parliament here at EPC, because earlier we had representatives from Ukrainian government, a lot actually representatives, but for the first time from the Ukrainian parliament. And you mentioned that you are here for EU accession process. How is Ukrainian parliament getting ready for these new challenges and new scope, huge scope of work of the accession process? And also how EU can help Ukrainian parliament to be more ready and capable for this? Thank you. Challenge.
And there was the last question there. Is that all right? We take this one.
Thank you very much. My name is Denis Jamali. I'm from the Embassy of the Republic of Kosovo. I would like to really thank you for the insightful discussion here. My questions are related to your expectations in regards to EU integration. Can you give us some timeline? When do you expect Ukraine to become an EU member state? The same on the NATO accession, and which one do you think will be first, NATO or EU accession? Thank you so much. And I forgot to mention the Republic of Kosovo strongly supports the integration of Ukraine into all the Euro-Atlantic structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Republic of Kosovo. I will start from China. It will be very, simple to explain. We have, strong connection with China. Of course, it's main. If you talk about countries, it's the main trade partner. But if you talk about non-countries, but units of countries, EU our main trade partner. But we are part of Western world that we integrated to EU, not to BRICS, and it's important to understand. That's why, of course, we very respect all, position and advices from any sides and from sides of China also. But we have our plan. We have our peace plan of Zelensky. It's not, matching with China-Brazilian plan or someone else. Of course, it's the hugest war in Europe, in the world from the last, 80 years. And of course, any countries have plans how to solve it, not only China. We also have African plans, for example, Indonesia plan. and someone else. But we have ours, and we work to promote ours plan. If you talk about Armenia, we also can observe some, new stages of relationship on interparliament level. It's all that I can do, like parliamentary. Maybe we will renew our collaborations level of friendship groups. For example, we have it with Armenia also, and with very active MPs on head of that. If you talk about EU integration and some predictions, I don't want to be Cassandra here. It's some not good role. But for my expectation, we will be NATO faster than in EU. It's my first prediction, and the next prediction, it's up to EU tradition of accession. All accession were after EU elections. The next EU elections on 2029. That's why I think next, open of accession will be after this election to EU Parliament. But we will do all from our side to be prepared up to election, before election. But what will be the decision of countries, we don't know, and we can predict right now. It's very long time to prediction. 5 years in politics, it's long time. But we will do our best in parliament also. If you talk about role of parliament, you see that I'm here. I'm member of negotiation team. It's one of the signs that parliament on high level part of process. We also in part of process of preparing screening and preparing our position to 36 screening meetings, I don't know, bilaterals for this half of year, but we will. And if you talk about promotion EU integration law, as we marked them through parliament, through whole, of course, we have some special, part of procedure for that. But on the other hand, some, traditional and practical, when 90% of this EU integration law, special technical requirements, some directives and someone else, all time supported by all plenary, despite of political colors on some positions. It's all time part of parliament consensus. On the other hand, I want to share you our evidence for last 2.5 years from the start of full-scale invasion. We delivered 7 conditions. After that, we delivered under conditions, 4 or 5, I don't remember. After that, we delivered something else, and we all time delivered something from association agreement. And from the start of this year, we start to deliver something from Ukraine facilities. Let me be clear, from 745 adopted already law from the start of full-scale invasion, 700 were EU integration. What we voted, not EU integration, it's budget. It's some votes about military situation. We need to give some permission to army, or to some restriction to army, to soldiers and someone else. It's not EU integration. All other one, it's only about EU integration. And if we talk about association agreement, for example, we now have more than 65% of delivering our association agreement. It's also, very huge level of delivery for such situation, and for only 8 years of delivery. It's only 8 years of association agreement. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for your support, Ukraine. Let's win together. Thank you for your moderation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Korniyenko. It was a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for answering such a diverse set of questions so well. You're a very knowledgeable man, and we look forward to having you back in the future. Just to the audience, this event was part of our Ukraine program, so I want to make a small advertisement for the next event, which will be on the 15th of this month, which will be related to a topic we briefly touched on, prisoners of war. We will have the great honor of hosting a number of POWs who were held in Russian detention, including the Azov regiment, as well as a number of high-level speakers. So please look out for that event and come and meet these heroes who are saving our security. So thank you again and have a great afternoon. And thanks again to you, sir. Thank you.